likes of Bunny Breaks, Steve Condos, Jimmy Slide, Arthur Duncan, Harold Nicholas, Sandman Sims, Sammy Davis Jr., and two men who had come to mentor me, Gregory Hines and Savion Glover. And I decided that the Broadway style of dance I had been doing wasn't for me. What I saw on the
See, those who think I'm making these posts to be against the one world system, you're seeing wrong. All I'm stating is this very long sentence, which comes from their teachings. Y'all say we're all equal. No human's perfect. So if no human's perfect, I got you. Or the shorty's got you. We see your mistakes since no one's perfect. Now all we're asking y'all to admit is the same thing y'all ask people to admit in court. Just tell the truth. Because we caught you. The consent laws, bestiality, we'll go through that later. Um, you're saying you're putting mandates on people to do things, but it's against the law to do that. Oh, I forgot to put that up. That's right here. And then all I'm stating is, you know, since now that we got you, we caught y'all. Now just clean it up, because the system has decent points like grants, for example. Y'all only give grants to certain form of dance styles, and you should give it to all of them. Like I'm just pointing out mistakes that an imperfect person makes, that y'all state is imperfect, and then y'all clean it up. Since the system is made of a whole bunch of imperfect people, so when we find out the imperfection, clean it up. It makes us come closer to being perfect, if that's ever possible, according to your dogma, since you say we're never perfect. So the more that people point out things, y'all should clean it up. That's all I'm stating. And then I'm saying if you can't clean it up and you want to keep being confusing and destructive and negative, then do that with yourselves that want to be confusing, destructive, and negative, and leave the loving, faithful, productive, natural people alone. Let us be on the side like y'all have these laws for the Amish and all those people that can take land and go to the side, or just be left alone. That's all. Just this long sentence, run on sentence for y'all who believe in that form of education. And y'all can see I don't fear to say anything, because human love is a human DNA. This is why I say there's so very few humans. What does that mean? So let's go through a quick pan of the life I was allowed to live. I was raped, molested, and abused as a child, by many different people, dance teachers and all that, and even construction workers that to chase me as a kid into restrooms in the train station when I was under 15. All that. See how I can laugh about it? Because that's love to human DNA. What that means is that the first thing y'all never do who have been abused, raped, and all that as children, never blame the body for the effects that it does. And what that means is that, sure, I've said this before. Just like someone who's grown up eating meat, if you tell them to be vegetarian, the mind will go, "I'm going to be vegetarian overnight." The body is going to fight, and when the body fights, you're not winning. Quick test: tell the mind not to have the eyes to blink. You won't make it in 3 minutes. The eyes will blink. The body's going to win. That's a small example. And that's not even abuse. No one abused the eyes to blink. Imagine the body now abused, raped. It now has false affections, false sensitivities that have now been corrupted to believe that the acts that happen to it, it needs. So when this body sometimes wants to go out and repeat some of the acts that was done to it as a child, with adults though, only with adults, only with adults, only with adults. And I feel sorry for those that do it with children. So only with adults, I this body I will allow to do those things when I can't control it. Only with adults. So yeah, I'll go to the places that I was brought to as a child. As a child, when it should have been illegal for the people that brought me there. Nudist beaches. Like George Michael was caught in the restrooms, bookstores, saunas, y'all name it. You don't think I care. If I cared, my face wouldn't be on the camera. I don't care what anybody thinks. Zero. Because why? I've never passed it down to children. Why? I never said it was right. The reason why I won't say it's right or wrong, because it's an effect. That's it. In effect, what you're supposed to blame is what this t-shirt says. You're supposed to stand up to the root of the problem, which is what I'm doing. I don't care how many adult shops, new beaches, bookstores, I don't care how many there are in the world. And I don't care what people do in them, as long as it's with adults. Let's repeat that again, ladies and gentlemen. As long as it's with adults. You know why I don't care? Because that's not standing up to the root of the problem. If I see a man who told their wife he's faithful and he's one of those places cheating, or the woman says she's faithful to the husband and one of those places cheating, y'all so stupid that y'all actually would sit there and point at these people and laugh and expose them. But then you're watching movies that actually do that at night secretly. Zero. Because why? I've never passed it down to children. The whole time I'm human, because it's with adults, but I'm laughing. Some people will see me with certain people and go, "Oh, that person's too ugly for you," and I'll go, "Well, I know." And then some will see somebody I'm with and go, "Wow, that person's hot." I go, "Well, I know." And then somebody will see me with someone and go, "That person's all right." And then I'll know, because you know what I really know as a human? I don't remember asking you, or y'all, or you all. I don't remember asking. So the word "I know" doesn't mean you're correct. It means I know that is your opinion, and this is not the body you've been temporarily given. So I know I don't care because it's with another adult. Moving on. See, the only one I'll take this towel off that I was making a serious joke about and get serious on y'all is the one when they say, "Well, that person is too old for you." And not to be funny, I've always, y'all can tell, any human rare leader is mature for their age. So, like I said earlier, people have been chasing me since I was 7, 8 years old, trying to talk to me. Then around 13, 14, actually trying to have relationships with me, and they were way over 21. That's because I was mature for my age. Of course, a lot of them were pedophiles, but some of them is just because I was mature for my age. Now, am I ever going to follow that thought? Nope. I don't even like people that look young. So, because why? This has always been my response to people who say, "Well, that person looks older." Somebody actually, and this is like in what they call the 30s. Someone came after me that was like 60 something, and I actually tried to date the person. Say, "Yeah, sure, let's go for it." Hey, a human rare leader has to do many things they don't want to do in order to know the experience, in order to see the effects, in order to see the effects the victim will go through, and also have the remedies. A human rare leader has to go through many things that most people fear to go through, but the full power of love has no fear. Faith has no fear. So I did it. And I remember when I was walking around with the person was more embarrassed that I had no problem with that person being 20 to 30 years older than me and going to dinners and restaurants with the person. Didn't care. Because I was showing the person, see, even what you're chasing, you're not confident with. Even what you're chasing, that shows you have a problem. Well, I was fine with it. And certain people who met them, they were like, "Yeah, that person looks too old for you." I was like, "Wow, okay. So that's interesting. Please show me someone that gets younger." See, we know pedophilia is wrong because pedophiles go after the younger. Nobody in life gets younger. Even if you believe you can look younger, you can't. Guarantee all the pictures you had from baby until whenever you die, you're getting older. There is not one picture that shows a person getting younger without no surgeries or some other nonsense. Everybody in life is getting older. Period. So there's nothing wrong with being an adult dating older people. Like, that's actually the facts of life. Even animals and insects get older. Gray hair. Can't walk as good as they did before. It's just a fact of life. Y'all better be careful with these pedophiles in the system. Y'all saw those consent laws. These pedophiles in the systems really try to get y'all to be pedophiles. That's why I said Sit back. If any video ever comes out with me messing with an adult at any places that have been legalized by the system, just sit back. Give me some popcorn too. Only thing I won't like is that I'm not getting paid for it, because I'm not going to be the first son or someone's daughter that y'all watching on these video screens secretly or publicly. So I could care less if anything came out with me with another adult. And that's how believers and humans have to start getting. Could care less as long as it's an adult. Then adult. Who cares less? If someone's come to judge, it only would be the creator. Nobody else can judge. A lot of y'all too weak to even judge yourselves. And that's not even possible, because you can't put yourself in the place of judgment. But we already went through that before. Y'all can't give any opinions because you can correct yourselves. And most of the funny thing is, most people that tell y'all not to judge is people from the system who are pedophiles. If an adult is with an adult and a pedophile tells an adult who's with an adult what to do, you need to kick him straight in his face, or her, and straight in their face. Because they shouldn't even be here existing. See, unlike most of y'all, it's gonna feel like I'm not letting y'all breathe sometimes. Because unlike most people, I'm really human, unlike most. And the reason I say unlike most, because I've listened to all y'all on the social media talk. I've listened to all y'all speak about past and what y'all been through and stuff like that. And I, along with certain other humans, don't match. And what I mean is that, let's look at y'all in dance. A lot of y'all only do one style, but then you talk about freedom and all this other stuff. And when you talk about being free, it leads back to that one style, popping or house or whatever. And then you're talking to someone who does many different styles very well. So I'm not really hearing the attempt, because what y'all are doing is doing like the slave masters. You're giving theories on why you can't do something or won't do something. And then you're talking to someone that did it, or someone's that did it. It's a totally different conversation. With that being said, everybody remembers shorty, right? Now, that's just a terminology, shorty. Now, shorty is not like, I would say, the millennium version, like shorty being hot on the block, blah, 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 and selling and doing all that. No. Shorty in the 80s and before, now I can talk like this. A lot of y'all may look at it like he's older. No. I've stood the test of 4 generations. I worked in the 70s, worked in the 80s, worked in the 90s, and worked in the millennium, and still being sought after as a judge and all that in the millennium. So I stood the test of time and did that without selling drugs, did that without selling my body, did that without lying about culture, did that without oppressing others, which is the history of so many other people in street dance or not. Not the history of everyone. So Shorty used to represent that kid that was very, 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 very wise. What's the difference? Listen to the difference. You have smart geniuses kids. That means ones who study a lot, study what the school wants, does everything the school wants, but never breaks it down. They may question things, but they never break it down to make it make sense. It always will follow the system. Now let's look at the grade point. Usually in school, they keep an A or somewhere between 95 to 100. Then you have the kids that just can't get it right. They can't get the system's information right, and the system calls them stupid, which is not the right word. They're just not interested in the information the system has to give. That's the correct definition. They usually keep a grade point average between 60 and lower. Then you have the wise ones who will show in the beginning, oh, I get y'all systematic information. It's BS. It's a lie. So I'll give y'all the 100 when I feel like it. Sometimes I'll give you the B. Sometimes I give you the C. I'll give you the 80, the 70s. Sometimes I give you the 60 or the failure according to your system. But usually they keep around a 80s, 80s, higher 70s average in school, because they just plan. They get it. They've been got it. So now their focus is on something bigger, which is either making another system, gathering up kids who are wise, or just stepping back and watching everybody else. This is the life of Brian Greene. So, and this is the life of Brian Greene since kindergarten. Kindergarten. The first year, a lot of people may laugh at that because y'all never did it, but when I ripped the beard off of Santa Claus and I saw how the kids react, and a lot of people thought Santa Claus was dying and Santa Claus didn't even exist, and kids were crying, I stepped back and said, "Oh, this lie is so vicious that these kids believe there's flying reindeers and they've never seen it. Okay, I'm stepping back and watching." And that's been the life as far as watching these beings. That's why I don't say human. Then we have the Brian Greene that's really focused on finding other wise ones and making a human productive subsystem, which has been going on for a long time. The House Dance Conference was the big, okay, I think I found some people, and I did not, but we'll talk about that a whole nother time. The people I did find were the same ones I've known before the conference, and I can't even make 20 of them. That's because in the 80s, the system killed a lot of them. So Shorty, who was that wise one, Shorty, a lot of people know Shorty. A lot of people know Shorty. When I mean they know Shorty, every drug dealer, every gangster, every lying politician, anybody that lies, doctors, lawyers, whatever they do, giving false medicine, everybody knows one person in their neighborhood who didn't do any of that. Everybody knows one person in their neighborhood who didn't lie about spiritual books. Everybody knows one person in their neighborhood who didn't lie about what information was given, and they were always telling the truth. And even if they went down, and what I mean down is they were caught by chemicals and maybe the drugs and all that, they still stayed consistent. They didn't do what everybody else did on drugs. They didn't sell their body. They didn't lie to get more drugs. And even if they did lie, they paid back their money, unlike most of y'all who did it purposely, meaning selling drugs and making drugs, and never paid back the victims. Shorty is a very, very, very human person. And so what makes me interested about Shorty and those very few shorties out there, a lot of y'all should be looking at that human and saying, let me donate everything to those humans. And there's some of them on here. Like I don't just promote myself. Everybody sees on here. I promote people who are really, really human. And that's where y'all money should be going if you'll supposedly change your lives. But I can tell you, y'all haven't. Not with all the vaccinations and not with all the things y'all doing to follow the system, y'all haven't changed. Y'all just trying to find another way to make money and think it's legal. Because before y'all were doing it illegally, according to an illegal system. Ridiculous. So how do we get rid of it? That's what a human does. How do we get rid of it? I like to see 20 artists, singers, rappers, poets. I like to see 20 of them, really just one, who really points to the system. Y'all not doing it. What y'all do is because y'all scared. Y'all say a little thing about the system is corrupted and blah, blah, blah. But you won't do this. Bestiality, mixing with having relations with animals. Meaning abusing animals the same way you abuse children, because domesticated animals are made for these beings. The animals out in nature they're trying to control because they protect humans, these children, human children. So they try to rape and molest them the same way they do to human children. Connect that. That's bestiality. He said incest is also legal in certain areas by them. You won't put up these laws. You won't because you're scared. That's what a human does. A human has no fear. Faith and fear don't mix. Love and lust don't mix. No, it don't mix. A human will go, okay, these are the effects, but this is the root of the problem. This is the one that started the problem. I like to see y'all make songs and poetry and all that about posts like this. About find the names. Go do more research on the people that caused the problem, not the ones that are affected by the problem. Let's see a whole bunch of posts where you do research on the court of law and find the people that make laws. Put their name out there. You're afraid because you're gonna die, especially if you work in those positions. If y'all really care so much, go and put the name of like this T-shirt. Go put the name of the scientists that created the drugs, the viruses, the diseases, and even the fake medicines that are supposed to help y'all with those effects from those diseases, those viruses, and those drugs. They don't heal you, they help you. They still keep you in a circle, a downward spiral. Yeah? Put those names up. Expose those names. Then you're standing up to the root of the problem. Y'all not doing nothing, pointing at each other. That's all boring. That's what the word alien means. Something unnatural to the nature of where it is. That's all alien to being human. That's boring. Go ahead. If a whole bunch of people started doing posts like this system would have to change or just start killing a lot of people. And then y'all would have to change because y'all either have to start fighting for yourselves or become slaves again, which unfortunately I see that most of y'all from these vaccinations, y'all just would prefer to become slaves again, which is, that's why I said there's so very few humans. So this is what I'm telling y'all, y'all have to stop, because eventually you will be the hardcore slaves again, back on leashes and everything else. But now it'll be all skin colors, because a lot of y'all are not fighting where you're supposed to be fighting. Y'all sitting there pointing at each other, who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated. No, the question should be, who started the virus? What's the name of that person? Why is that person not in jail? That's where your conversation's supposed to be. What? That person's out there doing sexual immorality? But no. Your question's supposed to be, who legalized pornography? Who legalized rated R movies? Who legalized violent movies? Who legalized movies that show rape and all that to children and all that? Who show unnecessary advances between cartoon characters when you're under 7 years old? That's where your question should be, because that's the root of the problem. But y'all too scared for that. That's why I said there's very few humans, because the full power of love, grace, mercy, patience, peace, discipline, honesty, honesty, forgiveness for the ones who are affected, and courage to stand up to the root of the problem, oppressors and oppressions. That's the full power of love. That's why I said there's very few humans, because the full power of love is the human DNA. See, now it's been time for knowledge to increase, and it's going to increase, Daniel 12:4, right now. So let me flick dogma religion, y'all. Dogma is not religion. Dogma is a way of taking spiritual messages and flipping them so that it serves a confusing, destructive, negative, public, obvious one world system. So I'm going to show you what I mean. Catholicism, Christianity are both supposed to be worshiping Jesus as God. I'm not even saying that's wrong or right, but I'm going to show y'all something that's very false about all that right now. If y'all tell me you're worshiping Jesus as God, you're saying he's God, and you're supposed to be following him, as the passage says, follow me, let me show you how you're not following him. One, you got vaccinated, you're following the system. Luke 11, 37:54, Matthew 23, 1-36. Show me where he's following the system. Y'all going through the same problems he's going through there in this system now, because it's the same system. You're lying. Two, whenever does Jesus burden the oppressed? Y'all sitting there, like I'm saying in this video, pointing at each other. Oh, look at that one. That one's a prostitute. Oh, look at that one. That one's cheating on his wife. That one's cheating on her husband. Oh, look at that one. That one's gay. That one's straight. That one's bi. And you know these people were afflicted. You know these people were abused as children. What did Jesus say? Let's forget Jesus. Before Jesus, in Ezekiel, it talks about getting out of the sins of the father. It talks about if you can get out, then you'll be blessed. It means like it's a work. He's pardoning you. Really stop this lie about through grace you are saved, no work of your own. Because there's the passage that says, you know a tree by the fruit it bears. So you're supposed to do work. Unless y'all like the criminal at the cross who, believed and then was killed. Okay, but I'm sorry. A lot of y'all not being killed the next day that say y'all saved by grace. Y'all been here for decades. So when do y'all start doing the real work? Stop lying to these children. Stop. While those who purposely did wrong in the Old Testament, God was burning them up, fire and everything. Now let's move to the New Testament. Jesus, what did he say to the two prostitutes he met? There was the woman who was doing weird things, right? He was writing in the sand, and he said, your sins, and they are many, are forgiven. Sin no more, right? And the other ones, there's the other one he forgave, right? She was washing his feet. He forgave her. It was quick with how he forgave both of them. Yet, they without sin cast the first stone. He's talking to the people that already slept with one of them. And then the other one, he talked to the Pharisees. He gave them a long speech like, who are y'all to say I should wash my hands and I'm dirty? Look at y'all. Look at y'all. And he went in. Matthew 23, 1-36. Luke 11, 37-54. He went in on them because he knew they were the root of the problem. Tell me which Christians and Catholics are really doing that. Come on, y'all, you're not. You're sitting there praying and telling people they protected and I got this medal and that medal. I'm not saying that's wrong or right. I'm saying the fact. So if you're going to tell kids who are Christian and Catholic they're protected, then it's a lie then in the Bible, because Jesus said, if you believe in me, you go through what I go through. Some of y'all will be taken up to the court. Some of y'all will be thrown in jail. Some of y'all will be killed for my name. Where's the protection? Come on, y'all, you're lying to them. The only one that's written as being really protected is so y'all stop lying. Stop lying. Even though most of the spiritual books, I don't care what it is, it could be the sutras for Buddhism, Quran, Bible, Torah, all that stuff. The creator, ancestors, whatever y'all want to allow to call them, usually created everything, made the problem, and then went to heal the problem. Let's forget that one. But y'all sit here, you can't sit here and lie to these children and tell, well, if you follow Jesus and Jesus is God, or even if it's not God, or whatever it is, you can't tell these children they're protected. That's the lie. The only thing in this system that's protected is the devil's people. That's why they're so big. Evil is much more protected than good is. Be honest with yourselves and be honest with these children. Yes, children, I follow goodness, productivity, love, faith, and all that. And who knows? I might be the elect. I may not. Who knows? I'm still here, so maybe maybe that's an answer. I don't know. I really don't care though, because I'm just more focused on the purpose of being here as opposed to the label of whatever I am. I could care less. That's the purpose of this post. But y'all need to stop lying to these children. Come on, the book says clearly that if you follow goodness, you will have problems. A lot of them. You're not actually protected. You will have problems. Some will die. Some will be taken to jail. Some will be unscathed, meaning not touched. Stop lying to these children, please. If goodness was that powerful, we wouldn't be going through half the stuff we're going through at this moment. We need to stop lying to these children. And then when you stop lying, they have a real choice. And then maybe when that real choice happens, they'll follow goodness and it'll be so powerful to take down what is known as confusion, destructive, negative, and evil. Jesus said, be his friend. I don't call y'all servants anymore, be a friend. So why y'all bowing to Jesus and worshiping Jesus? He said be a friend. And also, why y'all being so humble to Jesus? Because I don't know any friends we're supposed to be humble to. You're supposed to tell a friend, a really good friend, you're supposed to tell what's on your mind. You don't fear a friend because you have love for a friend. Same like a family member. Same like someone you're married to. Stop lying to these children. Come on with this fake coming to Christ nonsense. If you were supposedly in Christ now, it's strange. Y'all wasn't scared when y'all was doing confusion and destructive and negative things the one world system taught y'all. I'm not blaming y'all. They taught y'all to be violent and talk against each other and kill one another and, lie to one another and all that. But it's strange. The only thing that's strange is this one thing. People who were gangsters or in crews and boroughs in different coasts, colonized, created, labeled coasts around the planet, in countries around the planet. Y'all killed each other for sneakers that y'all don't own. Y'all kill each other for clothing corporations y'all don't own. Y'all kill each other just for names, for colors of a scarf. Kill each other for skin color. Y'all kill each other for disrespecting each other's name or disrespecting someone you're dating, male or female's name, even though the music y'all listen to does the same. Let's see, y'all kill each other for looking at each other. So if y'all did all that and y'all no fear, y'all shooting each other and all that, killing each other, talking about each other, when y'all were doing confusing and destructive and negative things. So now if you're supposedly coming to Christ or now saved in Christ, which is too funny, that's strange. Why y'all so fearful to die all of a sudden? Why y'all so quiet? Why y'all so unlike Jesus, who was very in the positions of authority's face? There's the passages again, because I know y'all want to keep forgetting it, do y'all? Where y'all doing that mission? Follow me. Oh, and if you believe Jesus is God, the Son of God, that's fine. And you believe you don't have the power to do it? So forget it. What about the disciples? They were human. Very much so. The prophets were human. The messengers were human. So how many of y'all are doing that? Like, period. I'm gonna keep this last message on the eyes because it's important. This will be the last message for a very long while because it says in the Bible, Jesus says it's recorded saying, "Take care, don't worry, I've overcome the world." This may be true as far as sin is concerned, but the fact that people who believe are still going through the same thing he went through, sometimes worse. Um, and some people can. I really don't care about people's opinions on the fact that yeah, he was on the cross or he was messed up for 3 days. That's fine. I get it. That's fine. But to remember, he was given powers to deal with all that. We're not. Some of us will be taken to the court. Some of us won't be touched. Some of us will be shot. Some of us will be stabbed. Some of us will have cancer for who knows how long. And a lot of y'all who are lying to these children, you're tricking these children that the fact that sometimes it's karma, somebody did evil, it comes back to them. If that's the case, we wouldn't be in this system that's purely, mostly 85% evil. So, and publicly confusing, destructive, negative, and evil. So that's all lies y'all telling these children. So that means somebody has to do John 14:12, which is greater works. And so a lot of y'all may not really comprehend this, really don't care, because you have to be chosen. Everyone is chosen in this life to do something. Not chosen to believe, but chosen to do something. That's why we're all created. So this we're chosen to do something. So when I was young and I was drugged first, and drugged meaning it was a person that was in authorities that put drugs in the drink and molested and raped a whole bunch of kids, myself being one of them, and almost caught my older brother. But my older brother, that was a different situation. Some girls got him out of it. Now his story ends worse. R.I.P. because he's passed away. It's my older brother, only 3 years older. So however y'all want to perceive that with your fake dogma, I really don't care. Like, wherever y'all believe he is or isn't, or the fact that he didn't get drugged, but now he's murdered and he's dead. See that? It's all twisted. So after the drug hit the body, I studied science very well when I was younger. So scientifically, like they say, secondhand smoke. Imagine being drugged and don't want to take drugs and you're only 7 years old. So I already knew that the trick of this one world system, they're scientists, they're alien, unnatural scientists. They know that pollution, different forms of smoke, drugs, whether they call them legal or illegal, gets into the cells. That's the name they gave. So you have receptors all around your body. Like, when you guys watch a good show and your hair stands up, or you hear a great singer, whatever, your hair stands up, whatever a great singer is for the body, and you feel these senses grow up. Just like when you smell and then it goes all over the body. The same thing happens for anything. So whatever got into the body as a kid, you will have to realize that it remembers it, and depending on what happens in a person's life, they will go back to that smell if that scenario is similar. The one world system knows this. The colonizers, descendants know this. They're very dirty for that. So the sacrifice, which was a big work for Jesus, I decided to take the same sacrifice, not for the world, but for the children, for them to realize, wait, this is not over yet. So somebody has to be the calling, not biblically, but the calling period to say, okay, I'm not going to have children. I'm actually going to educate children. That's why I knew I had a gift. That's why I knew I was given a gift to be a teacher. So someone has to sacrifice the life that God gave them and go, okay, I'm going to expose these demons. Now, I don't believe demons are race, but if I did believe in race, of course it's white people. That's period. That's obvious because colonization and all that. The reason why I say I don't believe race is because a lot of you have joined them now. So what I decided very young, after I was raped and molested by men mostly, some women, I said, okay, I'm not going to have children because these men that were raping and molesting me and other friends were married. I said, so that's the play they would want me to do, to either get married, have a child, and then rape children and all that like they did. So I was like, nope, not doing that. I said, okay, I'm not going to marry a woman and lie to her, which all these men were doing who were chasing me and my friends and other children I would suspect. I said, no, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go that way with adults, date them, play with them only only what y'all call white people. Only. Those who know me, that's all I've ever messed with was white people. Why? Because they control the planet through colonization and through the system that gives that education. So I've always now, was I ever serious with some of them might be watching this? Was I ever serious in a relationship with them? Some of them. But once I saw the typical, atypical thing they do with everyone, they play this game. They like to role play. They like to right, left, up, down, diagonal. I figured all that by the time the first relationship I had. Check this out. Talk about pedophilia. I'm 15. The person I was dating is 19 years older than me, 34. Catch it. And the police and everybody knew because we walked around together. And that's why I laughed. This is a colonized, created, rich area. So catch it. After that, I've been sacrificed to life to say, no, never gonna, never. Now, I've dated some women, but I'm never gonna go further and do that because I said no. By the time of 89, I realized other skin colors followed them. I was hearing all the speeches of how demonic and stuff white people were, but I noticed other skin colors followed them. Majority of people, like a lot of y'all kids who love trap music and all this stuff, most of y'all get y'all drugs from them. So I said, no. I'm not going to taint, which means dirty a child's life by play like I get married, have them listen to that crazy music, and then be a contradiction. No, instead, I'm going to go with these people and just experiment on what they do. And that's why I'm talking so publicly, because they were adults and I was a kid. And if now anything, still adults. It's not illegal unless you're on a job with them. They can say someone tried to sexually harass them, but you can't do that. Usually the situations I get with white people, I'm gonna tell you, I make sure they invite me to their home or hotel or something before I indulge with them whatever they're trying to indulge in, and then I play. But they're way all over 21. And so what they can do is just flip a story and say, well, this person is, they can say anything they want about you because they control media. They can say anyone's a pedophile. Can they prove it? No. Some of y'all, they can prove it. I really feel sorry for, like I said earlier, but comprehend, I'm sacrificing because why? I want to see if someone really does sacrifice truthfully. Jesus did the sacrifice for sins, but he didn't expose all of them. He wasn't graphic, or was we wouldn't have John 14:12. So what I'm doing is saying, okay, we're going to expose this and see if you take it to the specific level of the system, what is it going to change the life for children? And children who are watching this, you may want to take the same sacrifice I did. Don't, because you'd have to be very prepared. And what I mean by prepared is that this system teaches there's different ways of living. There's elite, rich, low income, middle class, and upper class. I lived in all 5, 7 days a week. Unless you've done that, you're not ready for them. You can't come from a low income area and then be bussed into a rich area to go to school. It's not going to happen, or vice versa. You really have to have known the over 5 since you were a child. That's why I don't suggest anyone else do it, but I've done it, and this is why the information I'm giving y'all, if you really look hard, is extremely factual. You'll find people from each area, colonized area I just talked about, try to deny it, but they can't. Not if I'm there, and if you think they do. All they do is try to play a circular conversation. That's what they love to do when they're trapped, and that's when you just leave. And also, quick message: I advise all y'all join Airtime application. Um, I'm going to start my own interviewing prolific, productive humans because I figured, I'm getting tired of people wanting to interview me and then they can't deal with the way I speak and all that, but yet they believe in freedom of speech and not contradictions. That's that circle again. So I'm going to start my own Airtime app. And you'll see the information at the bottom. I just joined. Everybody join because we're going to start doing some real interviews here. Not the interviews to just hug people and say everything's love and all that and then have contradictory statements. No, we're going to talk about things to uplift and take out the confusing, destructive, negative, and focus on the productive love and faith. Focus on a human productive subsystem. Love the human DNA.